Hello, how are you? I'm a little tired. Sit down, please. I'd like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. Today it is on March 28th, 2024. It's on Thursday and cloudy. How are you spending Thursday? Have you already finished working or studying? Or are you still studying or working? When I was a university student, I used to schedule Thursday with few classes. The reason why I scheduled like that stemmed from the schedule which was set when I was a first year student at the university. In the schedule, Thursday was few classes and it worked well in a week. And since then, from the second year student, I started to schedule Thursday with few classes. Instead of that, I put more classes on Friday. In my university, we could schedule our classes free from the second year student. When we were a first year student, we couldn't choose which classes we took. All of the classes were set by the university. Do you remember the place where we met for the first time? Do you remember the place at which we met for the first time? Do you remember the place at which we met for the first time? Do you remember the place at which we met for the first time? Libraries might be the places in which some people can focus on their study. Where is the place in which you can feel relaxed the most? Where is the place in which you can feel relaxed the most? Where is the place where you can be relaxed the most? Relaxed the most. This is the apartment in which I lived for 4 years. This is the apartment in which I lived for 4 years. Okinawa is the prefecture in which it is relatively warm even in winter. Toilets used to be the places in which many students gathered during the break time. Toilets used to be the places in which many students gathered during the break time. Break time. Tokyo is a place in which many tourists go to go for the first place when they come to Japan. Tokyo is a place in which many tourists coming to Japan for the first time go. Tokyo is the place in which the population is said to be more than 14 million, a tenth of the whole population of Japan. About approximately. Cars are the places in which many employees go to during the lunchtime. Cars are the places in which many employees go back to during the lunchtime. Cars are the havens for some employees to eat lunch during the lunchtime. Cars are the havens in which some employees can have lunch during the lunchtime. Cars are the havens in which some employees go back to during the lunchtime. Does the subway function as a shelter from the nuclear? Summer is the season in which I like the best. Summer is the season in which I feel the best because of the long daytime and bright sunshine. There are many 24-hour open stores especially in urban cities where we can visit. There are some stores to which we can pay a visit 24/7. There are some shops, especially in urban cities, to which we can pay a visit 24/7. There are some stores to which we can pay a visit 24/7, especially in urban cities, in downtown. Miyajima in Hiroshima Prefecture is the place at which he proposed to her. Miyajima Island in Hiroshima Prefecture is the place where he proposed to her. Miyajima is the place at which he proposed to her. Miyajima is the place at which he proposed to her. Miyajima is the place in which he proposed to her. 沖縄 is the prefecture in which winter is not so cold. Kyoto is the prefecture to which I pay a visit every summer. Kyoto is the prefecture to which I pay a visit every summer for a reason. Tokyo is a place to which many tourists pay a visit. Tokyo is a place to which many tourists pay a visit. Tokyo is a place to which many tourists pay a visit. Tokyo is a place to which many people wanna pay a visit. Tokyo is the place to which many people wanna go. I hate the situation where I'm surrounded by many others. I don't like to be in the environment in which I'm surrounded by many audiences. Do you remember the place where we met for the first time? Do you remember the place in which we met for the first time? Can you recall the place at which the man was talked to us? Can you recall the situation in which the man was telling something? Do you remember the restaurant at which we had the melon soda? Do you remember the name of the restaurant in which we had melon soda? Can you recall the name of the restaurant where we had melon soda? Can you recall the place of the restaurant, maybe about 10 years ago, at which we had melon soda? Can you remember the place and the name of the restaurant at which we had melon soda? Can you remember the place and the name of the restaurant at which we had melon soda? Melon soda and ice cream in the melon juice. And this is a case where the rule is not applied. There are some cases where the rules are not applied. This is a case where the insurance is not applied. Natural disasters are the cases where the insurance is not applied in this tagged contract. Typhoon is a case where the event is postponed or cancelled. Typhoon is the case in which the event is either postponed or called off. Typhoon is a case where the event is either postponed or called off. Typhoon is the case where the event is either postponed or called off. Typhoon is the case where the occasion is either put off or cancelled. Rain is the case where the event is called off. Heavy rain is the case where the festival is stopped. Rain is the case where the festival is called off. Rain is the case where the festival is postponed. Traffic construction is a case where we have to take a detour. Traffic construction on the main road is a case where we have to take a detour, which will take a few minutes longer to get to the destination. Something event being held is a case where the traffic congestion occurs along the main road, national road, national road, national road. An event being held in the hall is a case where the traffic jam occurs on even weekdays. An event being held in the arena is a case where a traffic jam arises even on weekends. All parking lot occupied with cars is a case. The special parking lot will be open to the public. All nearby parking lot being occupied with cars is a case where the specialized parking lot will be open to the public. This is a rare case where the rule is not applied. This is a rare case where all of the rooms are occupied by him. This is a case, rare case, where all of the public transportation have been suspended. This is a case where the electricity is stopped. This is a case where power outages happen. And this is a case where the internet is cut off for a temporarily, for maintenance. Maintenance is a case where the internet is cut off for temporarily. Maintenance is the case where the internet is cut off. Maintenance is the case where the internet is cut off. Maintenance is the case where the internet is cut off. Using the dryer is a case when it is raining outside. Turning to the laundry is a case where I'm so tired. Counting on the laundry shop is a case where a heap of laundry is left. Relying on the laundry shop, relying on the laundry shop is the case where I'm so exhausted and a pile of laundry is still left. Relying on the laundry shop is a case where a heap of laundry is left and I'm so exhausted. Set me free the situations where I'm bound by everybody, tasks. Release me from the circumstance where I'm surrounded by a lot of tasks. Set me free from the circumstance where I'm surrounded by a heap of tasks. Set me free from the circumstance where I'm surrounded by many pressure. Set me free from the circumstance where I'm surrounded by pressure. Set me free from the circumstance where I'm pressured. Set me free from the condition in which I'm pressured. Set me free from the condition, circumstance where I have a lot of pressure. Set me free from the circumstance where I have to meet everyone's expectations. Set me free from the circumstance where I have to meet everyone's expectations. I often fall into the circumstance where any word doesn't come out of my brain. I often fall into the circumstance where any word doesn't come out of my brain. I often fall into the circumstance where any word doesn't come out of my brain. I often get into the circumstance where any word, any precise, proper, adequate word doesn't come out of my brain. Being silent for a while. I often get into the circumstance where any word doesn't come out of my brain, creating awkward silent time. I frequently fall into the circumstance where any proper word doesn't come out of my brain, creating awkward silent time, you know? Nobody can understand the circumstance where the phenomenon is occurring. Nobody can make heads or tails of the circumstance where the phenomenon is happening, occurring, arising, coming about. I often feel like escaping from the circumstance where I'm so much pressured before performance. I often feel like escaping from the circumstance where I'm in nervous. I often feel like escaping from the circumstance where I'm so much pressured before the performance on the stage. I often feel like escaping from the circumstance where I'm pressured so much. Circumstances. Have you ever got into the circumstances where you have to kill time like 2 hours for accident or emergency? Have you ever got into circumstances where you are obliged to kill time like 2 hours by doing nothing? Make the points clear where you haven't understood in the class on the day. There are some points where I couldn't understand at the class, so I will ask my tutor. I will have him clear the I will have him clear the points I couldn't understand today. I want you to clear the points at the next press conference. I will have my home tutor explain the confusing theory tonight. I will get my home tutor to explain the confused theory, physics theory at home tonight. And there are some points where most of the audiences couldn't make heads or tails of it. And there are some points of which many audiences couldn't make heads or tails. The risk is a point where many people are afraid of. Big risks are the points where many people don't challenge because of. The risk is the point where many people cannot challenge. The big risks where many people cannot challenge because of. The big risks are the points because of which many people cannot challenge. The high living cost is the point where I prefer to stay in a countryside. Convenience is a point where I'd like to stay in an urban city. Convenience, convenient access to the train station is a point where many people have a shop there. Convenient access to the train station is a point where I chose to stay in the hotel. Convenient access to the train station is the point where I chose to stay in the hotel. Making your fingers a little bit more round is the point where you can apply the piece better. Point where you can make the sound clearer a little bit more. Arrogant personality is the point where many employees cannot like him. Some people going crazy with alcohol is the point where I don't want to participate in the party. Wasting my precious money is the point where I don't want to take part in the party. Being forced to drink much alcoholic beverages is the point where I don't want to participate in the party. Located in a distant place from my house is a point where I'm hesitant to go to the live. Distant place from my house is a point where I hesitate to visit. Much risk is a point where many people don't challenge because of. And there are some points where I want you to understand. There are some points where I want you to understand. There are many points where the boss won't be liked by anybody. There are some points where you have to follow the rules. This is the point where many people cannot understand. There are some points where I'd like to make clear. There are some points where I'd like to make clear. There are some points where I'd like to make clear. Narrow space is a point where I don't like to go into the parking lot. Narrow space is a point where not many cars enter the area except for locals. Narrow and confusing pathway are the points where not many cars going to, except for some locals. Being late for the transitional plane is the point where I'm concerned about. Being late for the plane on the transition is one point where I'm concerned about. Being late for the transit plane at the airport is one point I'm concerned about, where I'm concerned about. Being late for the transit train at the airport is one point where I'm concerned about. Whether I can survive in a foreign country is one point where I'm concerned about. I'm concerned for. The revival of the school drama is one point I'm excited about. The baseball game between the high school A and high school B is one point where I'm excited about on Saturday. Set me free from the circumstance, where I'm pressured too much. How dare you can play video games for 8 hours a day in the situation where The Kyoto test is in a week. How dare you can play video games and hang out with your friends all day long in the situation where Kyoto test is a week away. How dare you can eat sweet in the situation where we have just finished hard training? How dare you can eat 2 sets of the menu from the morning? How dare you can eat so much food for breakfast in the morning? I often fall into the situation where any word doesn't come out of my brain on the podium, at the podium. I often get into the situation where any word doesn't come out of my brain, maybe, for example, at speech on the podium, creating awkward, silent interval. Nobody could understand the situation. Nobody noticed the situation where the disaster was approaching at that time. Now that I've been released from that situation where I have been surveilled from the doctor at the hospital, I can do what I like. I can do whatever I like at home. Have you ever gone through the situation where you are looked at by many audiences? Have you ever got into the situation where you made many mistakes on the stage? I hate to be in the situation where I don't know what to do, and I become at a loss. I hate to go into the situation where I don't know what to do and just time passes. I hate to fall into the situation where I keep making a mistake over and over again, time and time again. I don't feel comfortable in the situation where I'm surrounded by many audiences. I never feel comfortable in the situation where I'm surrounded by many audiences on the stage. I never feel comfortable and get used to in the situation where I'm looked at by many audiences on the stage. I never get used to the situation where I'm looked at by many people in the hall. I never get used to the situation where I'm looked at by many audiences in the hall. Under no circumstances should you say such a thing to everybody. In no circumstances ought you to say such a thing to me and others. You under no circumstances should say such a thing to me and others. In no circumstances ought you to say such a thing to him. In no circumstances ought you to commit a crime. Under no circumstances ought you to commit a crime. You under no circumstances ought to commit a crime. You in no circumstances ought to commit a crime. We under no circumstances ought to commit a crime. We in no circumstances ought to commit a crime. The general manager of the department never pay a visit to the factory. In no circumstances. The general manager of the department in no circumstances pay a visit to the factory. The section-in-chief paid a visit to the factory frequently instead. I in no circumstances studied in my teens, which I regret now. We regret to inform you that the flight has been cancelled. We are sorry to inform you that the flight has been cancelled. We are sorry to inform you that the information is incorrect. We are sorry. We regret to inform you that the information has been incorrect. うん。Some people under no circumstances eat vegetables. Some people in no circumstances eat vegetables. Some students under no circumstances study. Some students in no circumstances study. Some people under no circumstances work out. Some people in no circumstances work out. The pianist under no circumstances made a mistake. The pianist in no circumstances made a mistake. The person under no circumstances smiled at us. The person in no circumstances smiled at us. I under no circumstances know about cards. I in no circumstances know about cards. Urban cities are under no circumstances attractive to some people. Urban cities are in no circumstances attractive to some people. Entering the University of Tokyo is in no circumstances easy. Entering the University of Tokyo is under no circumstances easy. The receptionist of the hotel was under no circumstances polite. The receptionist of the hotel was in no circumstances was polite. Living costs in urban cities are in no circumstances cheap. Living costs in urban cities are under no circumstances cheap. Living costs in urban cities are under no circumstances cheap. Living costs in urban cities are in no circumstances cheap. Living costs in urban cities are under no circumstances cheap. Living costs in urban cities are in no circumstances cheap. Passing the examination is in no circumstances easy. Passing the national examination is under no circumstances easy. What you think is right might not be right in other communities. What we regard as common senses might not be common senses in other communities. I do what I like. I put the most emphasis on doing what I'm interested in. I prioritize doing what I'm interested in. I give precedence to doing what I'm interested in. I give priority to doing what I'm interested in. I give priority to doing what I'm interested in. Pay attention to what the professor is explaining. Pay close attention to what the teacher is explaining. What you said is incorrect. What you said turned out to be incorrect. What you said proved to be incorrect. What you said proved to be incorrect. The theory turned out to be incorrect. The theory, which used to be correct, turned out to be incorrect. The treatment proved to be incorrect. incorrect, 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 incorrect. What used to be regarded as correct turned out to be incorrect. What used to be regarded as correct proved to be incorrect. I'm totally different from what I was. I'm totally different from what I was. I'm totally different from what I used to be. The scenery of the town is totally different from what it was 20 years ago. The scenery of the town is completely different from what it was 10 years ago. Commodity prices are much higher than what they were 10 years ago. Commodity prices are far higher than what they were. Commodity prices are a lot higher than what they were. Commodity prices are by far higher than what they were. Commodity prices now are far and away higher than what they used to be. Commodity prices are still higher than what they were. Commodity prices are a lot higher than what they used to be. Commodity prices now are by far higher than what they used to be. Adversities made me what I am now. Adversities, predicaments, obstacles, mayhem, chaos, hardships, ordeals made me what I am now. Adversity builds character. Summer is the season in which I like the best. Summer is the season when I feel the happiest because of the long daytime, bright sunshine. Spring is the period when I feel the itchy most. Spring is the season in which I feel the itchiest. Spring is the season when I feel the itchy the most. Spring is the season when I feel itchy the most. Spring is the season when I feel the itchy most. Spring is the season when I feel itchy the most. Friday night is the time in which I feel the happiest. Friday night is the time I feel the happiest. Sunday night is the night at which I feel the most depressed. Sunday night used to be the time when I felt most depressed. Sunday night used to be the time when I felt depressed the most. Sunday night used to be the time in which I felt depressed the most. I felt depressed the most. Rain is a case where the event is either put off or called off. Natural disaster is a case where the insurance you have contracted does not apply to your accident, injury, and so on. Natural disaster that you have contracted with us is a case. No, the natural disaster is a case where the contract you have contracted with us does not apply. Emergency is a case where the outside steps are used. Emergency is a case, only case, where the outside steps are used. Emergency is the only case in which the outside steps are used. Emergency is the only case where the outside steps are used. What are the differences between cop and police? What are the differences of cops and police officers? What are the differences of cop and police? Cop and police, cop and police, cop. The two cops order the speeding car to pull over. The cops order the car to pull over. The cops order the car to pull over. The cops ordered the car to pull over for speeding. The two cops order the car to pull over. The cops order the car to pull over. The cop ordered the driver of the car to pull over. The cop ordered the driver of the car to pull over. The cop ordered the driver of the car to pull over. The cops ordered the driver of the car to pull over. The cop ordered the car to pull over. Cop. The cops ordered the driver of the car to pull over. The cops ordered the car to pull over. Ordered the car driver to pull over. Cop. The cops ordered the car driver to pull over. The cops ordered the car to pull over. The car ordered the car to pull over. The cops ordered the car to pull over. The cops ordered the car to pull over. Cop, police, police officer. Cop and police officer. Cop, police officer. Cop, police officer. Cop, police officer. Policeman, detective. Cop, police officer. Cop, police officer. Do you think the particles obtained from the asteroid will be clues to finding out the origin of the universe? I hope the particles obtained from the small planet will be the clues to finding out the origin of the universe. I'm searching for a convenient cloth with many pockets, both front and backwards. clue to finding out the origin of the universe. Could you give me a clue to the answer? Could you give me a clue to the answer? 3 clues to the answer are given. There are still no clues to the incidents. Two clues to the answer of the math question are given to the students. 2 clues to answering the math question are given beforehand in advance. Two clues to the math question are given beforehand on a different paper. The fingerprints left on the table worked as a clue to indicating the criminal. The fingerprints left on the table, corridor, and doorknob worked as the clue to spotting the criminal at large. I've been going through many brutal treatment from others. I'm used to it to a certain extent. I've been going through brutal treatment from others. I used to be used to it to a certain extent, but not now. I'm very sensitive to criticisms and terrible attitude from others. Becoming insane is my role. Becoming insane and incredible is my role. Becoming insane and incredible is my role. Insane. We learn and to distinguish between vice from virtue. We learn both vice and virtue at school. We learn to distinguish vice from virtue at school. Can you distinguish AI-produced answer and human answer? Can you distinguish AI-produced replies and the real replies from a human? Can you distinguish AI-produced replies and the replies from a human? Can you distinguish the replies from AI and ones from a real human? Vice. The opposition word of vice is virtue. Vice and virtue. The opposite word of virtue is vice. The opposite of virtue is vice. The opposite of vice is virtue. Vice and virtue. Vice, virtue. Distinguish vice from virtue. Distinguish virtue from vice. Distinguish vice from virtue. Distinguish vice from virtue. Distinguish vice from virtue. Distinguish virtue from vice. Can you distinguish vice from virtue? 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 I sometimes watch cops checking fingerprints left on the tables, doorknobs, and other places to spot the criminals. I sometimes watch police officers checking fingerprints left on tables, doorknobs, corridors, and other places on TV. In detective drama, I often see cops checking the fingerprints left on tables, doorknobs, corridors, and so on. My hobbies usually don't correspond with others. My hobbies usually don't correspond with others. Have you ever corresponded with a pimper living in a foreign country? Have you ever corresponded with somebody living in a foreign country? Have you ever corresponded with somebody living in a foreign country, far away from your country? Have you ever corresponded with a foreign pimper living in a foreign country? Have you ever corresponded with somebody living in a foreign country? Unfortunately, my day off corresponded with my girlfriend's working day. Unfortunately, the concert day corresponded with my working day. Unfortunately, the concert corresponded with my working day. Unfortunately, my day off corresponded with Wednesday. Fortunately, my day off corresponded with my friends. Miraculously, my seat corresponded with my friends. Miraculously, the sum total of my shopping corresponded with serial number. Miraculously, the total price of my shopping corresponded with my birthday. Miraculously, the sum total of my shopping corresponded with the year 2024. Miraculously, the sum total of my shopping corresponded with the year of 2024. By accident, my clothes corresponded with my friends. Accidentally, my outfit corresponded with my friends. Sunday will correspond to many others' day offs. Sunday will correspond to many others' day off. Unfortunately, half-light corresponded with the one with the celebrity. Her behavior didn't correspond with what her had promised as manifest at the election. The politician's behavior does not correspond with what he promised as a manifest at the election. The politician's behavior does not correspond to what he promised once he was elected. The politician's behavior does not correspond to what he promised to do once he was elected at the election. The voice message left by the scammer corresponded with that of the criminal. My TOEIC score corresponded with my friends. The shape of the personal sphere didn't correspond to the one I had used in the past. My current personal sphere did not correspond to the old one, which had been put in the past. The shape of the personal sphere did not correspond with the one which was put on the bank bank record in the past. The shape of my personal seal did not correspond with the one put on the bank record. Bank card. The shape of my current personal seal did not correspond with the one left on the bank card. The locker key number corresponded with my birthday. The number left on the locker key corresponded with my birthday, miraculously, by accidentally. Accidentally, the number of the hotel room corresponded with my birthday. Accidentally, the number of my hotel room corresponded to my birthday. Accidentally, my body bag corresponded to my friends. By accident, my body bag corresponded with my friends. My hobbies usually don't correspond with others. My hobbies usually don't correspond to others. My hobbies usually don't correspond with others. I don't want my outfit to correspond with others. I don't like my outfit to correspond to others. The couple is wearing outfits corresponding to each other. The couple is wearing clothes corresponding to each other. The couple is wearing clothes corresponding with each other. The couple is wearing clothes corresponding with each other. The voice message left by the scammer corresponded with the criminal. Unfortunately, my working day corresponded with the concert day. Unfortunately, the live date corresponded with my working day. Unfortunately, the live day corresponded to my working day. Unfortunately, the concert day corresponded with my examination day. Unfortunately, the live day corresponded with my examination day. I was taken by surprise by her crazy appetite. I was taken by surprise by her incredible appetite. Taking everybody by surprise is my role. Taking others by surprise is my role. Taking people by surprise is my role. Taking people by surprise. Taking people by surprise is my role. 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 Don't believe in the information just because it was informed by a notable person. Don't believe in the information issued by a noted person. Don't believe in the information just because it was told by a noted person. Noted, distinguished, famous, renowned. Noted, 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 noted. Don't believe in the information too much just because it was told by a noted person. Noted. As soon as the product A was advertised by a noted influencer through the internet, it was sold out from coast to coast. The minute the famous and noted influencer advertised the snacks, it was sold out from coast to coast. The moment the noted figure advertised the sweet, it was sold out from coast to coast. The instant the noted influencer advertised the sweet, it was sold out across the country. To become a psychologist was his dream. To become an astronaut is my dream. To become an astronaut is my dream. To become a psychologist was his dream. To become a psychologist is his dream. The talented accused the anonymous person of defamation. The talent accused the person of defamation. The musician accused the man of defamation. The musician accused the person of defamation. The anonymous person was accused of defamation. The anonymous person was accused of defamation. The musician accused the reporter of defamation. The musician accused the journalist of defamation. The anonymous person was accused of defamation. The owner of the apartment accused the tenant of default, delinquency. The owner of the apartment accused the tenant of delinquency. The hotel accused the guest of delinquency of $1 million. The hotel accused the guest of delinquency of as much as $1 million. The hotel accused the man of delinquency equivalent to $1 million. Mount Fuji is worth climbing. From my experience, Mount Fuji is worth climbing. You should eat 3 day worth of food at the all-you-can-eat restaurant. The theft stole $1 million worth of jewelry from the store. The politician accused the anonymous man of defamation. The owner of the apartment accused the tenant of delinquency of $500,000. I have to study as hard again as others to become average. I have to study as hard again as others to become average. I have to study as hard again as others to become average. I have to put effort as twice as much as others. I have to put effort as much again as others to become average. The tenant of the apartment was accused of delinquency of the rent. The tenant of the apartment was accused of delinquency of the rent for over 2 years. The guest of the hotel was accused of the delinquency of $1 million. The hotel accused the person of the delinquency of more than 50,000 yen. The hotel accused the guest of the delinquency of $50,000. The hotel accused the guest of the delinquency of $500,000. The anonymous man was accused of disrespectful criticisms and defamation. The journalist was accused of defamation. The influencer was accused of defamation. The influencer was accused of defamation. The influencer was accused of releasing misunderstanding information. The influencer was accused of releasing incorrect information. The noted composer accused the person of defamation. The labor union accused the company employer of the delinquency of the payment over 1 year. The labor union accused the company of horrible working environment. The labor union accused the company of the violation of the compliance. The labor union accused the employer of the violation of the compliance. The employer of the company was accused of the violation of the compliance. The employer of the company was accused of the intrusion on the constitution, on the compliance. I often confuse the position of Shimane and Tottori Prefecture. I often confuse the position of the prefecture between Tottori and Shimane Prefecture. I often confuse the position of Tottori with that of Shimane Prefecture. Jewelry and jeweler sounds very similar, very difficult to memorize, and very confusing for me. Jewelry. Jeweler. Have you ever chosen as a jeweler? Have you ever chosen as a lay judge? Have you ever chosen as a jeweler? Have you ever chosen as a lay judge? Have you ever picked out as a jeweler? Have you ever picked out as a lay judge? Have you ever chosen as a jeweler? Have you ever chosen as a jeweler? Have you ever chosen as a jeweler? Jeweler and jewelry sound very similar and confusing for me. Jewelry. The jewelry is supposed to rule out whether or not the person is guilty or not guilty. The jeweler is supposed to decide whether the person is guilty or not guilty. Jewelry. Jury's verdict. The jury's verdict took many by surprise. Defining moment in history. The jury's verdict took every audience by surprise. The jury's verdict took many audiences by surprise. The jury's verdict took many people by surprise. The jury's verdict took many people by surprise. The jury's verdict took many people by surprise. The jury ruled out that the person was not guilty. The jury ruled out that the person was guilty. The jury found the person guilty. The jury found the person not guilty. The jury found the person not guilty. The jury found the person guilty. I went to the post office only to find it closed. The jury found the person not guilty. The jury found the person not guilty. The jury found the person guilty. Jury, jury, jury. Jury. The jury's guilty verdict took many audiences by surprise. The jury's guilty verdict took many people by surprise. The jury's not guilty verdict took many audiences by surprise. The jury's guilty verdict took many people by surprise. The jury's guilty verdict took many people by surprise. The jury's not guilty verdict took many people by surprise. There are many factors giving rise to my itchiness, allergy. There are numerous elements, factors giving rise to my allergy. Now that the internet is widespread, we can communicate with people living in the world easily. Now that the internet environment is widespread, we can upload information to the internet easily, everywhere, almost everywhere. Now that the internet environment is widespread, we can access to the internet almost everywhere, with some exceptions. I'm not good at discussing at a debate. I'm not good at talking at a debate. I used to plead with my parents for buying me as many video games as possible, which I regret because most of them are very cheap, although my parents bought them for very expensive prices. I used to plead with my parents for buying me as many video games as possible. I used to plead with my parents for buying me as many video games as possible, which I regret now because most of them are sold for very cheap prices, although my parents bought them for very expensive prices, like 5,000 yen, 6,000 yen, 9,000 yen, or even more than 10,000 yen when it comes to the game console, like 30,000 yen. But the accused pleaded with the judge for innocence. The defendant pleaded with the judge for not guilty. The suspect pleaded with the judge for not guilty. The accused pleaded with the judge for not guilty. The defendant pleaded with the judge for not guilty. The accused begged the judge for not guilty. The accused begged the judge for not guilty, begged the judge for not guilty. The accused pleaded with the judge for not guilty. The accused pleaded with the judge for not guilty. Are you pleading with your parents for PlayStation 5? Are you pleading with your parents for PlayStation 5? I saw a little boy pleading with his parents for lenience. I witnessed a little girl pleading with her parents for lenience, allowance, forgiveness. I witnessed a little girl pleading with her parents for forgiveness for what she did. What is the definition of the meaning of mercy? Mercy, I often hear the sound of mercy. I often hear about mercy, but I actually don't know the deep meaning of mercy. So could you explain concisely about mercy? Could you explain the meaning of mercy concisely so that I can understand, so that I can have better understanding of that, and so that I can have deeper insight into the meaning of mercy. Mercy. The judge sentenced the man to 2 years in prison. The judge sentenced the man to 2 years in prison for what he had done. The man was sentenced to 2 years in prison. The man was sentenced to 3 years in jail. The man was sentenced to 2 years in the detention. The accused was sentenced to 3 months in the juvenile detention. The defendant was sentenced to 3 months in the juvenile detention. The accused was sentenced to paying 1 million yen to the victim. The accused was sentenced to paying $1 million to the victim. The accused was sentenced to paying $1 million to the victims for what he had done. The employee was sentenced to 2 years in the prison for what he had done. Thus, the criminal was sentenced to paying 3 million yen to the victims. The judge sentenced the man to paying 2 million yen to the victim. The judge ruled out that the defendant must pay 2 million yen to the victim. The judge sentenced the man to paying 5 million yen to the victim. The judge sentenced the man to paying 2,500,000 yen to the victim. The judge sentenced the man to paying 300,000 yen to the plaintiff for what he had done. The judge sentenced the man to 2 years in prison. The judge sentenced the man to 3 years in jail. The judge sentenced the man to 5 years in jail. The defendant was sentenced 2 years in prison. The defendant was accused of defamation. The defendant was accused of defamation. The person was accused of defamation. The person was accused of defamation. The defendant was sentenced to 2 years for what he had done. The accused was sentenced to 10 years in prison for the crime. The defendant was sentenced to 2 years in prison for his crime. The accused was sentenced to 10 years in jail for his crime. Sentenced to. He was sentenced to 20 years in jail. She was sentenced to 2 years in prison. She was sentenced to 2 years in jail for her crime. The judge sentenced the man to 6 years in jail. The judge sentenced the man to 7 years in prison for his crime. The judge sentenced the defendant to 8 years in jail for his crime. The judge sentenced the man to 9 years in jail for his crime. The defendant was sentenced to 2 years in prison. The defendant was sentenced to 2 years in prison. The defendant was sentenced to 2 years in prison. The accused was sentenced to 3 years in jail. Okay, I will finish speaking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you!